quiz 9. We're looking at multiple choice here. Many people got 100% on the multiple choice. Quite a lot got 100%, 90s, and so on. Any questions on the multiple choice? Let me bring up the problem. Many people over 100% because remember the chart was 10 bonus points. Person 110, very high, and again falls off. But overall, let's think of what we did in quiz 9. We did goal seek, we did data table, we did a chart, and the results are very good. Results are very good for 80% of students. 20%, stay away from those 20%. But the 80% of students, impressive results. Any questions? Yeah.
Could you go over how to do the data table? I can only get one column, either the projected or the current. I couldn't get both.
I had that same issue, but I figured it out.
Yeah, me too.
Now, folks, listen up. Okay. Everything that's on the quiz is in the handout file. May not be exactly the way it's in the quiz, and we do it in class. So when you're at home and you're not sure what to do, first thing, go to your class notes. Go to the handout file. The handout file, the file that you download from my website. I mean, this is actually quiz 9 that I brought up. And if you're still having trouble, where should we go for help after that?
Excel.
Go to Excel. Hit the F1 key in Excel. Type in data table. And I'm still having trouble after that. Don't go buying a book. Where else can you go? Go to YouTube. Now, a number of times this semester, I've indicated to you that's the sequence of events. Go to what we've taken in terms of notes in class, 1. The notes plus the handout file. If you're having trouble, go to the Excel online help. Still having trouble, go to YouTube. Still having trouble, send me an email. Send me an email. Now, some students will say, I do send you an email and you won't help me. I'm not going to hold your hand. I'm not going to take you by the hand and say, I'm going to do it for you. I will point you in the direction, and then I'll give you a little gentle kick in the butt to go do it. Folks, you're university students, it's not kindergarten. And I hear from a lot of students, I hear from a lot of good students who say, that's just what I needed. Just what I needed. Okay, and Dawn has been told to do the same. Okay, now, let's do it. Well, first of all, I've got my data table already here, and I must remove it. Now, let's highlight this cell right here. And you can see that it's a special type of formula. And we see that there's squiggly brackets around it, which tells us it's an array formula. Because it's an array formula, if I'm going to delete it, what must I delete?
The whole thing.
Good. You're learning it. Okay, you're learning it. Okay? Now, while it was up there, it said equals table. So if I click on here, bring up all of them, maybe I can scroll down here and find table. Can I?
No.
No, I can't. Why not? Because there are functions that are hidden. They're not really hidden, but for 90% of the population, they're hidden. There is a way you and I can go see those names, okay? But not for today. We're not going to get into that area today. Solver. I don't see the solver functions listed. They're also hidden. There are many functions that are hidden. You and I, if you know Visual Basic Programming, you can create hidden functions. Okay? So Microsoft created a function called table. It's hidden. The way they want you and me to get access to it is to come up to data, what if analysis, and click on data table. Now, if we go and read up on data table, I mentioned it in class, there are two types of data table. There's what's called a one variable data table and a two variable. I could have plummeted you into a two variable data table, but I decided to just give you a one variable data table. Let's walk first. In fact, to go to a two variable data table, once you've done one variable, two variable data table really is easy. But I started with a one variable data table. What does one variable mean? We'll manipulate one variable. What does two variable mean? We'll manipulate two variables. One on the horizontal, one on the vertical. We're only going to manipulate one variable. And when we say manipulate, well, that is what we're going to do. We're going to I know the word manipulation has a rude connotation. You shouldn't say I'm going to manipulate someone. That's really insulting and rude. But in Excel, the correct word is manipulate. You manipulate a cell anywhere in your model and all the algebra changes. We're going to manipulate the cell right up the top that has the number of units. Right up in what? F13. We'll go up there in a moment. So what we want to do is we want to put all these values in F13, one at a time, and look at the impact on profit. Accountants want to do that. Economists, financial people, people in chemistry. Just stay away from physics and chem. Just stay in accounting. People in accounting want to be able to manipulate data. And what we normally call it in a situation like this is a sensitivity analysis. We're looking at a current situation, a proposed situation. What if we change the number of units that's driving this? What if we change what effect will it have on the profit? Operating income. What if we? And we have a word for that, a sensitivity analysis. So we're going to do it, and then we're going to graphically look at it. Let's look at it graphically once we've got it done. Okay? So we're just going to do a one variable data table. There's the variable. We're going to take each of those values and put it into F13. And as I said to you the other day in class, I could come up here and I could manually type in the value, go all the way back down here. Note that, write it on a piece of paper, go back, put the next, how painful that would be. And I'd probably make a mistake. Excel will do it for me, and it's called a data table. So I want to put each one of those values up in F13 and look at the impact on profit and put it in here. So let's do it. Well, to enter a data table, we've got to choose that blank cell, okay? And range off that entire area. Okay? Now, what if data table, it's not row input, it is column. All the way up to the top, choose that cell, choose OK, come all the way back down again, and nothing's happened because I'm on manual calculation, not automatic calculation. And now that I've got it on automatic, I can see where it varied from negative to positive. The only thing I've got to do now, which a lot of people forgot to do, was the formatting of the cell. Remember, I'm grading on formatting now. And I tell you the formatting. Let's have a look. No decimal places. Okay, got to get rid of the decimals. Prefix it with $. Prefix it with $. And if there's more than 1,000, separate it with commas. And if it's a negative, express it in red, but don't put a bracket around it.
Okay, there we go.
Don't put a bracket around it. So let's come over here. And yes, you could do each cell separately. Folks, listen. Listen, I know I'm a tough SOB. I know that. I know that. But I'm not unpleasant. What am I getting at? I'm not going to do each one of these differently, formatting, just to waste your time. I don't do that. I don't do that to you. Okay? So just range them all off. Range them all off. Home, format the cell. Now, did it say currency or not currency?
It's a number.
It said currency. Did it say decimal points? No decimal point. Did it say put the dollar symbol?
Yes.
And did it say put red in brackets or red not in brackets?
Not in brackets.
Done.
Yeah, it also not specified. Include
Done.
the size.
Everyone okay? Yes.
Just for the majority of this one, it wanted to be formatted to size 12 on the font. Is there a way to keep that the norm, or is that something you're just gonna go cell after cell?
First of all, you can go into cell options, and you can change the default formatting for a spreadsheet. The default, if you haven't touched it, is 11 points. But I have it formatted at 12 point Calibri. Probably if you go in, your current default is 11. When you first install Excel, it's 11 Tahoma is the font. P-A-H-O-M-A. Okay? And I asked you to set it at Calibri 12 point. 12 point. The student that got the 110 did it perfect. He's in my evening class. Okay? And there's a lot of students close to 110. A lot of students, yes.
How did you change it to automatic from manual?
Yeah, well, when this sheet, okay. See, as the semester's gone by, you're asking better questions. And I think your attitude's getting better with a whole lot of people. And that's good, that's good. Now, let's come over here. Formula menu, calculation. The default in Excel, the default is automatic, the default. I set it at manual. Anyone want to try answering? Why would I do that? Well, you know there's a little over 1 million lines in a spreadsheet, one spreadsheet. And a little over 1,200 columns. That's a big spreadsheet. Do people like Siemens use a lot of those cells? Disney, Florida, they have huge models. Well, if you've got lots of formulas and you've got a spreadsheet set to automatic, when you change just one cell, what happens to all the formulas? They get recalculated, don't they? If you've got tens of thousands of formulas, what's going to happen?
Tens of thousands of corrections.
Pardon?
There's gonna be tens of thousands of changes potentially.
You got time to go get lunch, and I'm not joking. I don't care how fast your computer is. I've got the fastest machines in the college. If I have these big models set on automatic, I can go make the coffee and come back, and it's still saying calculate in the bottom left-hand corner before it finishes. So what I like to do, and what they'll do at Siemens, they set the spreadsheet to manual. And it only calculates, watch, I'm gonna put, watch down here in the corner. Let me change a cell. See? Calculate. What does that mean? It means the sheet has not recalculated. So I can do one of two things. I can click that, or I can hit F9, or I can come up here and put on automatic. What I'll do is I'll click this, watch. I click that. I know you didn't see anything happen, but if I had formulas built off this, it would have all updated. Okay? What you don't want is when you've got a huge sheet, is every time you change something, I've got to wait while the thing recalculates. Now, for most of the things we do in university, they're small, and you can set it to automatic. So you're okay. You're okay. Yes. Okay, questions? No questions, folks? Okay, but folks, you are doing very well. People's work is getting much, much better. Okay? I'm happy that this was a good quiz. Now the quiz this week, can I close this down, chapter 9, close it down? Answer your question? Yes?
I had a problem using GoldSeek for.
Okay? GoalSeek. Before we can use GoalSeek, we've got to set the model up. So, I want to find the number of units, let's put this on automatic. I want to find the number of units that will drive that to 0, right?
Yeah.
Well, before we can do it, we've got to set the model up. And this is ABC, cost, volume, profit. Did I give you an example of ABC, cost, volume, profit? Did it have GoalSeek in it? Yes. The only difference was this one had 4 variable and the one in class was 1 unit variable. This had 4 unit variable. The one that you got take home was 1 variable, 1 unit variable, and 1 batch level. 1 batch level and the one in class, 1 batch level. Everyone with me? Okay. Now the first thing you got to do is set up the algebra. I can't open up all people's files, but occasionally, because I have to know who someone is, I'll open their file up to see where they went wrong. A number of people botched up these 3 cells right here. And it was exactly the same as my handout file. There was no one, you got the tokens, and you say, well, I don't know how to do the equals, the plus, the minus. It was identical to my handout file in class. Everyone agree?
Yeah.
Okay. So we've got to get the algebra right. Once we get the algebra right, we can use GoalSeek. Now, GoalSeek is neat, but it's highly limited. It's limited in what way? How many changing cells can you have? That's critical. It can only have 1 changing cell. Solver can handle many changing cells, but But Solver is like a stealth bomber, a Lamborghini, a Rolls Royce, and Goldseek's like a really good bicycle. Don't compare those two. Don't compare them. Even though they can do some things that are the same, okay? There's just no comparison. Now, you know the way Goldseek works. It works the same way you and I would do this. If we wanted to do this, we would sit here going 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh no, let's start at 200,000 and come. We'll be here for the rest of the day trying to find the number of units that will put that to 0. Okay? Now, because there's a divide by 0 stuck in there, that could upset Goldseek. Okay? So, the way to overcome that is to, and I'm going to use this word, and don't, folks, you know, mature university students, try to appreciate where I'm coming from. I'm going to cheat. Okay? I don't mean cheat with rude connotations. I'm just going to get it started to cheat it so it doesn't look at the divide by 0. So it can't see it. Okay? That's all I'm doing. I'm just getting it away from that divide by 0. Now that we've done that, okay, we can come to data. What if Goldseek? Okay, set cell. That cell to 0 by changing that cell right there. Okay? Choose OK. And you could see what it was doing. It was doing what you and I would have done by hand. And did it go to 0? It absolutely did. Okay? Any questions?
The indifference point, what was the set
The
value?
indifference point, what was the issue on the indifference point? Well, this happens a lot in business. We have a layout for our factory. We want to look at a new layout. We have a new product. We have an existing product. Should we get rid of the existing product for the new product? Should we enhance it? Accountants are doing this all the time. Shall we continue with the current product, the current factory, go with the new one? Current, proposed. Where's the indifference point? Because if you don't reach that indifference point, it wouldn't be worth going with the proposed, changing over. So we'd like to find that indifference point. The number of units here, the number of units where that goes to 0. That goes to 0. Because that's equal to those two subtracted. Okay? So what is the point that Goldseek's going to find that cell where those two values are the same? Now, when you ran it, some of you did get 0 there. And some of you got $56, $128, not 1,000. But you may have gotten $100. Who found that? Okay? And that's okay, I gave it to you. Why could that happen? Well, Goldseek is going to stop at some point. And they had to set arbitrary limits on where it's going to stop. Now, I don't want to go here. I'm going here. See this area over here? I can't do everything in Excel, but if we were to adjust the iteration, if we were to adjust that, we could get that difference to go to 0. But a Goldseek would have taken more time to do it. Okay? But don't come over here, because if you come over here and change this, the people you're working with are going to be upset with you because it's going to change all their models. Don't touch that. Not for this class. Okay? I wish we could spend time talking about it. Now, let's get out of here. So, some of you got 0. Who got 0? Did some people get it? Good. And some other people didn't get 0. You were still right, as I said last week. You're still right. But you could get it to go to 0 if you made those adjustments. Okay? Now, what we want to do is find that so that those two are equal and that goes to 0. That's the indifference point. Okay? And then we put the data table together. And when we put the data table together, now I can graphically, if you're going into a meeting, do you want to present that in a meeting? Or do you want to present all these numbers? You want to present the chart. And when I asked for a show of hands last week, many people haven't done charts. And I'm sorry to say, there's still people who haven't done charts. Because they didn't even do the chart in the assignment. Okay, well they're at the bottom of the class. Let's forget about them. But most of you did. Good. We did goal seek. We did data table, we did a chart. And on my list of Excel topics, I'm happy. It's going to be better next semester. This week we have, can I shut this down now?
Wait, I didn't see how you use gold seek to figure the answer.
I can't do it all. I've done goal seek the same way as you did it up top, which I did up top. Exactly the same. So it's the same. Everyone got it? Okay? It's the same, young man. Now, here is this week's quiz. Okay? Okay. This is my quiz. None of the above should have been sitting in E. And I know why, because that true shouldn't be there. This is my quiz. This is mine. If someone has got none of the above sitting up in A, B, C, okay, it's not sitting right at the bottom, don't worry. Just assume that it was sitting there. So if you think C is the right answer, put C. But I will have fixed this on the retake. Okay? For those that have picked up what's going on, if you get the same question, it resorts it at random. And I forgot to put a false. In my system, I have a false that stops it from being sorted. Forgot to put the false there. Okay? And it got sorted. So that's the only thing I know of. Yes?
So you said if you think it's none of the above, put E instead of...
No, put C. Actually put C because that's where it is.
All right.
Okay? Okay, actually put C.
Only the question where...
There could be another question where it's got none of the above, and there could be another question where it's got none of the above and it randomly sorted it. It shouldn't have. It shouldn't have because I didn't put a false next to it to tell the system don't sort it. So if it did sort none of the above, it's done at random, so it puts it anywhere. Okay? If it did, and you think none of the above is the correct answer, choose it. In this case, C. Choose. He's got it. Everyone okay?
So just consider everything with the above other than it.
Pardon?
Consider any other answers.
Yeah,
above
just
it.
consider it as being above. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. Okay. Pretty minor error, but it will be fixed. I didn't see it until okay, now, the problem, so I don't forget, this is all there is to the problem. This is all there is, but folks, listen up. Those 4 cells that are highlighted carry 18 points each. Everything else, only 1 point. You with me? You know the cells are normally equal points, aren't they? Okay? Only 1 point. These 4, 18 points each. And that adds to 100 points. 18.5. Adds to 100 points. So if those 4 cells carry 18 points each, tell me what you think you're gonna have to do. You better do some thinking. And it requires algebra. So if we highlight this cell here and look at the tokens, it requires all of this. Okay? There's a roundup, there's an if. Let's go to the next one. It's got an if and a min. Whoops, sorry, I went back up. Let's go to the next one. It's got an if, a min, and a bunch of cells. Now listen. Down here, and I'll go over it again, I give you a lot of help, and I even give you a hint right up here what the balance should be at the 31st of December, what that number should be. I even tell you. There it is. So, folks, I give you a lot of help. We'll say more on Wednesday. Can we now get started on chapter 10?
Yeah.
Do you want us to round up to 1? Or does it matter?
When you say round up to 1, what do you mean?
Like 1 decimal place, like you put round up and then.
No, you've got to read the question first. In the question, you have to borrow in increments. That's what's causing the roundup. Okay? You've got to borrow in increments. And it will say a different dollar amount. For me, it was $1,000. For you, it could be $980. For you, it could be $1,200. When you borrow money from a bank, they require you to borrow in chunks or the exact dollar amount. Chunks. The bank isn't going to let you borrow $7,824.56. They're not going to do that. They'll require you to borrow to the nearest 1,000 or the nearest 500. So that's why that statement's in there. And that's why you need to round up. Next thing, when you borrow from a bank, do you borrow at the beginning of the month or at the end of the month? Today is the 31st of the month, the 30th of the month, and I don't have enough money for payroll. I'll go to my bank manager. I can't meet payroll. Will you loan me the money? Does the bank want you to come when you need the cash, or they want you to come in advance of needing the cash? They want you in advance. They want you to borrow at the beginning of the month. Now, what's the difference between this class and 2071? In 2071, when you borrowed the money, you borrowed at the end of the month. Most programs, when they give students these problems, you borrow at the end of the month.